The council chamber filled with desperate voices. Representatives from 40 different species argued over the same terrible question they had debated for months. How could they survive when the Devourers kept winning every battle? Council Speaker Thelvos watched from his elevated perch. His feathers, once bright blue, had faded to gray during the war. He had lived for 300 years and seen many conflicts, but nothing like this. The Devourers were different. They were not interested in negotiation or territory. They only wanted to consume everything in their path. "We should retreat to the core worlds," suggested Ambassador Krell, his rocky skin cracking with stress. "Abandon the outer colonies and fortify what we can save." "That strategy failed twice already," snapped Commander Vexra, her scales rippling with anger. "The Devourers just follow us. They never stop. They never tire." Thelvos clicked his beak sadly. Both of them were right, which meant both of them were wrong. There was no good choice anymore. Just 3 days ago, the colony world of Thesson Prime had fallen. 2 billion souls lost. The Confederation military tried to evacuate as many as possible, but the Devourers attacked so quickly. They always attacked quickly. "Perhaps we should surrender," someone whispered from the back. The chamber fell silent. No one wanted to say it out loud, but everyone had thought it. What was the point of fighting if they kept losing? Thelvos felt something stir in his old memories. A story his grandmother had told him when he was just a hatchling. She had learned it from her grandmother, who learned it from hers, going back hundreds of generations. "There is another option," Thelvos said quietly. The arguing stopped. All eyes turned to him. "I know this will sound foolish," he continued, "but our ancestors kept records of old legends, stories about a species called humans. They were said to be the greatest warriors the galaxy had ever known, not because they were strong or fast, but because they never gave up. They could adapt to anything. They could befriend anyone. They could find hope in the darkest times." Commander Vexra hissed. "Fairy tales will not save us, Speaker." "I know how it sounds," Thelvos said. "But the stories always mentioned a place, a world called Earth, located in a distant spiral arm of the galaxy. What if the legends are based on truth? What if humans are real?" "And what if they are not?" Krell demanded. "We waste time and resources chasing myths while the Devourers destroy more worlds." Thelvos spread his wings. "We are already losing. We have tried everything our military minds can conceive. Perhaps it is time to try something our hearts remember." The debate raged for hours. Finally, they agreed on a compromise. The Confederation would send out a broad distress signal across all frequencies, aimed at the coordinates mentioned in the ancient texts. If nothing answered within 10 days, they would abandon the idea. The message was simple. It carried the Confederation's plea for help, their history, and their desperate situation. It traveled through space at the speed of light, reaching out into the unknown darkness. 8 days passed. The Devourers destroyed another outpost. Casualties climbed into the millions. The Council prepared to discuss their surrender terms. On the 9th day, something impossible happened. A response came back. The communication officer, a young Talesian named Plix, nearly fell from his station when the alert sounded. His antennae quivered as he read the message over and over, unable to believe what he saw. "Speaker Thelvos," Plix called out, his voice shaking. "You need to see this immediately." Within minutes, the entire council assembled in the communication center. The message played on the main screen. It was audio only, in a language the translation computers struggled to interpret. But they managed to decode it. A voice spoke. It sounded strange, unlike any species in the Confederation. It held warmth and determination mixed together. "This is Captain Hyunwoo of Earth's Unified Fleet. We received your distress call. We did not know others existed out here. We thought we were alone." There was a pause. "You are not alone anymore. We are coming. Hold on just a little longer. The chamber erupted in chaos. Half the council members celebrated. The other half demanded to know if this was some kind of trick. "How do we know this is real?" Vexra challenged. "The Devourers could be manipulating us." "The signal origin point matches the coordinates from the legends," Plix reported, checking his instruments 3 times to be sure. "It came from exactly where the ancient texts said Earth would be." "When will they arrive?" Thelvos asked, his heart beating faster than it had in decades. Plix calculated quickly. Based on the signal delay and assuming standard faster-than-light travel, approximately 6 days. 6 days. The Council immediately ordered all remaining military forces to defensive positions. They needed to survive long enough for these humans to arrive, if they were real, if they could help, if the legends held any truth at all. Thelvos returned to his private chambers that night. He pulled out the oldest data crystal in his family's collection. His grandmother's voice played from the ancient recording. "Remember, little one," she said in the old tongue, "humans were not gods. They were not invincible. The legends say they were actually quite fragile compared to most species. But they had something special inside them. A fire that never went out. When everything seemed lost, they would find a way. And they never abandoned their friends." Thelvos looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Devourers prepared their next attack. And somewhere else, humans were coming. He wondered which would arrive first. The next 6 days would change everything. The galaxy was about to learn that some legends were not just stories, some legends were promises waiting to be kept, and humanity always kept its promises. The border station hung in space like a massive metal flower, its sensor arrays stretched in every direction, watching for the Devourers. But today, they watched for something else entirely. Commander Vexra stood in the observation deck, her claws tapping nervously against the window. Around her, representatives from a dozen different Confederation species waited. Some believed humans would save them. Others thought this was mass delusion born from desperation. "Contact in 30 seconds, the sensor officer announced. Vexra held her breath. They all did. The first human ship appeared from faster-than-light travel with barely a ripple, then another, then 20 more. Within minutes, an entire fleet materialized in front of the station. "By the ancestors," someone whispered. The ships looked wrong. They were smaller than Confederation warships. Their design seemed inefficient, with odd angles and unusual configurations. They did not bristle with obvious weapons. In fact, they looked almost fragile. "This is what answered our call?" Vexra muttered. "These tiny vessels?" "They traveled across the galaxy to help us," Thelvos reminded her gently. "Let us at least meet them before we judge." A communication request came through. Vexra accepted it. The screen filled with a human face. Captain Hyunwoo looked different from any species Vexra had ever seen. Smooth skin, dark eyes, black hair, no scales, no feathers, no natural armor. He smiled, and Vexra noticed how vulnerable he appeared, how soft. "Greetings from humanity," Hyunwoo said through the translation system. "We are honored to meet you, though we wish it were under better circumstances." "You are real," Thelvos breathed, stepping forward. "The legends are true." Hyunwoo's expression shifted to confusion, then understanding. "Legends? We have been isolated for so long we did not know other intelligent species existed. But we are here now. Tell us about your enemy. Tell us how we can help." The next several hours passed in a blur of introductions and briefings. The humans sent delegations to the station. They walked among the Confederation species with obvious fascination, asking endless questions. But not about weapons or tactics. They asked about culture, family structures, favorite foods, artistic traditions. Ambassador Minji, a human diplomat, sat with a group of Talesian children who had been orphaned by the war. She learned their names, listened to their stories, and taught them simple human words. The children's caretaker watched in amazement as the traumatized youngsters smiled for the first time in months. Dr. Seo Yun, a human scientist, studied the biology of different species with genuine enthusiasm. "This is incredible," she said to a confused Confederation medical officer. "You have photosynthetic skin patches, and your species has 3 separate brain lobes. The diversity here is beautiful." Meanwhile, military leaders tried to discuss strategy with Captain Hyunwoo. "The Devourers have destroyed 15 colony worlds," Vexra explained, showing tactical displays. "They operate as a hive mind, millions of individual drones controlled by a single consciousness. They coordinate perfectly. They never retreat. They adapt to our weapons within hours." Hyunwoo studied the information carefully. "Have you tried communicating with them?" "Communicate." Vexra's scales rippled with disbelief. "They do not communicate. They consume." "Everything communicates in some way," Hyunwoo said thoughtfully, "even if it is just through action. What do their attack patterns tell us about their thinking?" "Their thinking?" Vexra could not understand this approach. "They are a hive mind. They think only of conquest." "But why?" Hyunwoo pressed. "What drives them? What do they fear? What do they value?" No one had good answers. The Confederation had focused on fighting the Devourers, not understanding them. "This is what we need first," Hyunwoo said firmly. "Before we can fight effectively, we must know who we are fighting for and what we are fighting against. We need to understand both sides." Vexra wanted to argue. Every moment they delayed, the Devourers grew stronger. But something in Hyunwoo's calm certainty made her pause. "What do you propose?" she asked. "Let us study your people first," Hyunwoo said. "We want to know what makes each species special, what you value, what you dream about, what you fear losing. Then we can create a defense that protects not just your bodies, but everything that makes you who you are." Over the next 3 days, humans spread throughout the Confederation's remaining territory. They did not arrive as conquerors or saviors. They arrived as students. Human linguists worked day and night to learn every Confederation language. Human artists studied alien music and painting. Human engineers examined Confederation technology with respect, asking how things worked rather than assuming human methods were better. Human teachers sat with refugee children, helping them process their trauma. Thelvos watched it all with growing wonder. The legends had described human warriors, but these humans seemed more interested in building relationships than building weapons. "I do not understand them," Vexra admitted during a private meeting. "We called for warriors. They send teachers and diplomats." "Perhaps that is what makes them warriors," Thelvos suggested. On the 3rd day, the Devourers attacked a mining colony on the frontier. It was a small target, barely defended. The Confederation prepared to evacuate, but Captain Hyunwoo made a different choice. "We will meet them there," he announced. "It is time to introduce ourselves." The human fleet moved into position. Vexra sent Confederation ships to support them, though she feared it would not be enough. The Devourers arrived in their usual overwhelming numbers, thousands of bioships, all controlled by one vast intelligence. They moved with perfect coordination, like a school of predatory fish. The humans did something unexpected. Instead of attacking immediately, they broadcast a message. "Hello," Minji's voice transmitted across all frequencies. "We are humans. We are new here. We would like to talk." The Devourers ignored the message and charged forward. The battle began. But Vexra noticed something strange. The human ships fought differently than any military force she had ever seen. They were not trying to win. They were trying to learn. Human vessels dodged and weaved, studying Devourer attack patterns. They tested different weapons at different ranges, carefully observing the results. They protected the mining colony while gathering data. When a human ship took damage, others immediately moved to shield it. When a Confederation vessel faltered, humans covered its retreat. They fought with precision, but also with something else. They fought with care. After 6 hours, the Devourers withdrew. The colony survived. Human casualties were moderate. Confederation losses were the lowest they had been in any engagement for months. In the command center, Hyun-woo reviewed the battle data with intense focus. "Now we understand them better," he said quietly. "Now we can truly begin." Vexra stared at the human captain. "What did you learn?" Hyun-woo looked up, and his eyes held a fierce determination. "Everything we need to know." The joint strategy sessions began the next morning. Confederation military officers filled the conference room, expecting humans to present some revolutionary weapon or brilliant tactical formation. Instead, Captain Hyun-woo started the meeting with an unusual question. "What makes each of your species unique?" he asked. The officers exchanged confused glances. "We need tactical analysis, not philosophy," Commander Vexra said impatiently. "This is tactical analysis," Hyun-woo replied. "The Devourers see you all as the same. Just resources to consume. But you are not the same. If we fight as individuals rather than a collective, we can exploit the hive mind's greatest weakness." "And what weakness is that?" asked General Court, a massive being whose species had won countless ground battles through sheer strength. "The hive mind cannot understand individual choice," Hyun-woo explained. "It thinks in terms of optimal efficiency. It assumes everyone will always choose the logical option. But individuals do not work that way. We choose sacrifice. We choose hope. We choose to protect those we love, even when it makes no strategic sense." The room fell silent. "You think our emotions are a weapon?" Vexra asked slowly. "I think your individuality is your greatest strength," Hyun-woo corrected. "The Devourers have perfect coordination. We cannot beat them at their own game, so we change the game entirely." Over the next week, humans implemented their strange strategy. They did not just train with Confederation forces, they integrated with them. Human ships paired with Confederation vessels in mixed squadrons, not just fighting together, but living together. Human crew members transferred temporarily to alien ships, learning how different species fought, thought, and communicated. In return, Confederation personnel joined human vessels. At first, the Confederation officers resisted. Humans seemed so weak compared to most species. They had no natural armor, no claws, no enhanced strength. A single strike that would barely bruise a Korthan warrior could kill a human. But humans possessed other qualities that became clear during training exercises. Lieutenant Jae-sung worked with a squadron of Vexra's best pilots. On the first day, they tried to teach him their standard attack formation. He struggled to keep up. His reflexes were slower. His ship's maneuvers were less precise. "Perhaps humans are not meant for combat," one pilot said, trying to be polite about it. "You are right," Jae-sung agreed cheerfully. "We are not the strongest or the fastest, but watch this." He ran the exercise again. This time, instead of copying the Confederation pilots, he did something different. He positioned his ship where it would take hits meant for others. He called out threats that the other pilots had not noticed yet. He adapted his tactics every few seconds, responding to the changing simulation. When the exercise ended, Jae-sung's ship had taken heavy damage. But every other ship in the squadron survived when they should have been destroyed. "You sacrificed yourself," the pilot said, confused. "That makes no tactical sense." "I sacrificed my ship," Jae-sung corrected. "You all survived to fight again. That is the tactical sense." Word spread quickly. Humans were not trying to be the strongest warriors. They were trying to be the glue that held everyone else together. Dr. Seo-yun made an even more shocking discovery. She requested permission to examine captured Devourer drones. Most were dead, their connection to the hive mind severed, but 3 remained alive, trapped in containment. "This is dangerous," the security chief warned. "They could transmit our location to the collective." "They are cut off from the hive mind," Seo-Yun said gently. "Look at their brain activity. They are confused, scared. They have never been individuals before." She approached the containment field slowly. The drone inside pressed against the far wall, its multiple limbs twitching erratically. Without the hive mind's control, it seemed lost. Seo-Yun sat down in front of the field. She did not threaten. She did not demand information. She simply spoke. "You must be terrified," she said softly. "Your whole life, you have been part of something greater. Now you are alone. I am sorry this happened to you." The drone stopped twitching. Its optical sensors focused on her. "I know you cannot understand my words yet," Seo-Yun continued, "but I want you to know something. Being individual does not mean being alone. You can still have connection, just a different kind." She returned every day. She brought food, though she was not sure what the drone ate. She played music. She showed pictures of Earth, of other species, of art and beauty. She never asked for anything. On the 5th day, the drone moved closer to the field. On the 7th day, it tried to mimic the sounds Seo-Yun made. On the 10th day, it pressed one limb against the containment field where Seo-Yun had placed her hand on the other side. The security chief watched in amazement. "What are you doing to it?" "Showing it what individuality can mean," Seo-Yun said. "Showing it there is more than just the collective." When Ambassador Minji heard about this, she made a bold proposal. "Let me speak with it. If one drone can learn to be individual, maybe others can too." The Confederation Council rejected the idea immediately. It was too dangerous, too foolish. Hyun-Woo overrode them. "This is exactly what we came here to do. Not just win battles, but change the nature of the war itself." Minji sat with the drone for hours. Using the translation computers and incredible patience, she began to teach it language, real language, not just hive mind directives. "What do you want?" she asked. The drone struggled to understand the question. In the hive mind, there was no individual want, only collective purpose. The drone finally managed through the translator. "I do not know." "That is okay," Minji said warmly. "Learning what you want is part of being free." News of this spread through both human and Confederation channels. Some called it a waste of time. Others called it foolish. But some began to wonder. If one drone could become individual, could more? Could the hive mind itself be fractured? Meanwhile, small skirmishes continued along the border. Human Confederation mixed squadrons fought the Devourers with increasing effectiveness. The humans had studied the enemy's patterns. They knew how the hive mind thought, how it adapted, how it expected others to behave. And they started doing the unexpected. In one battle, when logic dictated retreat, human ships advanced to protect damaged Confederation vessels. The Devourers adjusted their strategy to counter the retreat that never came, creating an opening that the Confederation forces exploited. In another engagement, mixed squadrons split up and attacked from random directions with no apparent coordination. The hive mind could not predict the chaos of individual choice. It wasted resources countering threats that never materialized while missing actual attacks. The Confederation started winning small victories. Commander Vexra studied the battle reports with growing amazement. The humans had not brought superior weapons or overwhelming force. They brought something else entirely. They brought the idea that weakness could be strength, that caring for others made you more dangerous, not less, that individuality could defeat perfect coordination. During a private meeting with Thelvos, Vexra finally admitted her changing perspective. "I thought the legends exaggerated," she said. "I thought humans would be mighty warriors with powerful weapons. Instead, they are soft and fragile, and they care too much. And yet we are winning, Thelvos observed. Yes, Vexra agreed quietly. Because they are soft and fragile and care too much. Somehow that is exactly what we needed. In the containment facility, the drone spoke its first complete sentence. I want to live. Minji smiled. Then you shall. I promise. The war was about to change in ways no one could predict. The Devourers launched their final assault 3 weeks after humanity's arrival. Intelligence reports showed the hive mind gathering its full strength for one massive attack. They targeted Sanctuary Station, the last major stronghold protecting the Confederation's core worlds. If it fell, the war was over. Every available ship gathered at the station. Confederation forces formed defensive perimeters. Human vessels integrated throughout the fleet, mixing with their alien allies. Captain Hyun Woo stood on his ship's bridge, looking at the tactical display. The Devourer fleet was 3 times larger than their combined forces. By every logical calculation, they should lose this battle. All ships, this is Hyun Woo, he broadcast across all channels. Today we face impossible odds. The enemy expects us to fight with fear and desperation. They expect us to behave logically, to retreat when retreat makes sense, to sacrifice the few to save the many. He paused, letting his words reach every crew member in the fleet. We will not give them what they expect. We will fight with hope. We will protect each other even when it seems foolish. We will show them something the hive mind has never seen before. We will show them what it means to choose connection over efficiency, to choose each other over optimal tactics. On a Taletian cruiser, young Plix listened to the transmission. He had transferred to a human vessel for 2 weeks of training. He learned how humans fought, but more importantly, he learned why they fought. Now, back on his own ship, he understood. We are ready, he said to his captain. The Devourer fleet appeared like a dark wave across the stars, thousands of bioships, all moving with perfect synchronization. They had conquered dozens of worlds using this overwhelming force. They expected this battle to be no different. The attack began. Devourer ships poured forward in flawless formations. The Confederation forces opened fire, but the hive mind adapted quickly, just as it always did. Shields adjusted. Attack vectors shifted. The Devourers had fought the Confederation for months. They knew every tactic, every weapon, every strategy. But they had not fought humans before. Not like this. Now, Hyunwoo ordered quietly. Human ships throughout the fleet began broadcasting. Not weapons fire, not tactical data. They broadcast stories. On every frequency, in every language the translation computers could manage, humans told stories. Personal stories. Stories about a Taletian child who loved to paint. Stories about a Korthan warrior who wrote poetry in secret. Stories about a Vexaran pilot who sang to her hatchlings every night. The Devourers ignored the broadcasts and pressed their attack. But then Lieutenant Jae-sung did something unprecedented. His squadron was taking heavy fire, outnumbered 5-1. Logic dictated a retreat. Instead, Jae-sung positioned his ship directly between the Devourers and a damaged Confederation vessel. What are you doing? The Confederation captain demanded. Save yourself. Can't do that, Jae-sung replied calmly. Your crew includes Specialist Thren. She just became a mother last week. Her daughter needs her. Jae-sung's ship took massive damage. His shields collapsed. Hull breaches opened across 3 decks. But he held position, and the Confederation ship escaped. Throughout the battle, similar scenes played out. Human ships deliberately took hits meant for others. They sacrificed tactical advantages to protect their allies. They made choices that made no logical sense, and the hive mind noticed. For the first time in its existence, the Devourer Collective encountered behavior it could not predict. Its calculations said the enemy should retreat when overwhelmed, but they advanced. Its analysis showed that protecting damaged vessels wasted resources. But humans did it anyway. More importantly, the hive mind captured several human pilots. When it probed their minds, expecting to find fear or despair, it found something else. It found individuals who genuinely cared about their companions, who would rather die than abandon their friends. The concept was incomprehensible to a hive mind. Why would individuals sacrifice optimal survival for emotional connections? Ambassador Minji had prepared for this moment. She broadcast a special message, one directed specifically at the captured drones who had learned to be individuals. "You were part of the collective," she said. "Now you are yourselves. You have names. You have choices. Tell your old family what that feels like. Tell them what they are missing." In their containment facilities, the 3 freed drones responded. Their broadcasts carried something the hive mind had never experienced before: individual perspective, personal feelings, the sensation of being separate and yet still connected through choice rather than compulsion. The hive mind recoiled from the information. It was like poison to a consciousness that depended on absolute unity. Dr. Seo Yun watched her instruments carefully. "It's working," she reported. "I'm detecting irregular patterns in their coordination. The hive mind is experiencing doubt." The battle intensified. Human and Confederation forces fought with everything they had. Ships burned, lives were lost, but they fought together, protecting each other with fierce determination. Then something impossible happened. A devourer drone broke formation. It was a small deviation, barely noticeable at first. The drone veered slightly off course, as if confused. Then another did the same, then dozens more. "The hive mind is fracturing," Seo Yun announced with growing excitement. "Some drones are becoming individuals." Commander Vexra saw the opportunity immediately. "All ships, focus fire on the main clusters. Drive them apart." The combined fleet adjusted their tactics. Instead of trying to destroy the devourers, they tried to separate them. Human ships used precision strikes to cut off groups of drones from the main fleet. Each separated group experienced more disconnect from the hive mind. The individual drones began to question, to hesitate, to choose. Han Wu broadcast another message, this time directed at the confused drones. "You do not have to fight," he said. "You can choose to stop. You can choose to live for yourselves. We will not harm you if you withdraw." The hive mind fought back, trying to reassert control. It poured more resources into maintaining cohesion. It sacrificed tactical advantages to keep the collective together. But humans kept broadcasting kindness, kept showing mercy to captured drones, kept sacrificing themselves for their friends, and more drones broke free. The battle raged for 18 hours. Sanctuary Station shields failed twice and were restored by desperate engineering teams. 4 human ships were destroyed completely. Dozens of Confederation vessels took critical damage. But they held. As the second day dawned, the Devourer fleet began to retreat. Not in an organized withdrawal, but in chaos. Thousands of drones had become individuals, confused and frightened. The hive mind could no longer control them all. The remaining collective consciousness fled, taking only those drones still fully connected. They left behind nearly 40% of their fleet, now just scattered individuals with no purpose or direction. The Confederation fleet did not pursue. They were too damaged, too exhausted. But they had won. On the human flagship, Hyunwoo slumped in his command chair. Around him, his crew celebrated through their tears. They had lost friends in the battle. Ships that had fought beside them were now silent debris. "Captain," his communication officer called out, "we're receiving a message from Speaker Telvos." The ancient bird appeared on screen. His feathers ruffled, but his eyes bright. "The legends did not do you justice," Telvos said quietly. "We asked for warriors. You gave us something greater. You gave us hope." Hyunwoo managed a tired smile. "The battle is won, Speaker, but the real work is just beginning." Outside the ships, Thousands of freed devourer drones floated in space, alone and afraid for the first time in their existence. They would need help learning what freedom meant, and humanity had never been good at leaving people behind. 3 months after the battle, the galaxy looked different. Sanctuary Station had been repaired and expanded. New sections were built specifically to house the thousands of freed devourer drones. What had been a military fortress was becoming something else, a place of transformation. Ambassador Minji walked through the residential section designated for former drones. Each small quarters held an individual, learning to be exactly that, individual. She stopped at one door and knocked gently. A voice inside responded, still uncertain and halting. "Come in?" The drone who had been the first to learn language sat in the corner of the room. It had asked to be called Seeker, a name Minji had suggested. Seeker was looking at a data pad, studying images of different Confederation worlds. "How are you today?" Minji asked, sitting on the floor nearby. She had learned that Seekers found eye-level conversation less threatening. "Confused," Seeker admitted. "I am always confused now. In the collective, everything had purpose. Every action had clear function. Now I must decide what to do with each moment. It is difficult." "It is," Minji agreed. "Freedom is harder than servitude, but it is also more beautiful." "I do not understand beautiful," Seeker said. Minji pulled up an image on her own data pad. It showed a sunset on Earth, golden light spreading across an ocean. "This serves no function," she explained. "It does not produce resources or advance any strategic goal, but humans stop to watch sunsets. We find meaning in things that have no purpose except to make us feel something." Seeker studied the image for a long time. "The collective would say this is inefficient." "The collective was wrong about many things," Minji said gently. Across the station, Dr. Seo Yun worked with a team of Confederation scientists and dozens of freed drones. They were trying to understand the neurological changes that occurred when a drone separated from the hive mind. One drone, who had chosen the name Wanderer, asked questions constantly. "Why do humans help us?" Wanderer asked. "We were your enemy. We killed your people. Logic suggests you should destroy us or imprison us." "Logic is important," Seo Yun replied, adjusting her scanning equipment. "But it is not everything. You were part of a system that hurt others, but you did not choose that. Now you have a choice. You can become something different." "What if we cannot?" another drone asked. This one had not chosen a name yet. It still struggled with the concept of individual identity. "Then we will help you learn," Seo Yun said simply. "That is what we do." The unnamed drone processed this information. "The collective taught us that individual beings were weak because they helped those who could not help themselves. You waste resources on us. This proves you are weak." Seo Yun smiled. "Perhaps. But we are the ones who won the war. Maybe weakness is not what the collective thought it was." In the station's main conference room, Captain Hyunwoo met with Confederation leaders. They discussed the remaining Devourer collective, which had retreated to the far edges of known space. Intelligence suggested the hive mind was rebuilding, though much smaller and more cautious than before. "We should pursue them," Commander Vexra argued. "Destroy them before they can threaten us again." "We should try to communicate with them," Hyunwoo countered. "Show them what their former drones have become. Offer them the same choice we offered the individuals." "They will never accept," Vexra said. "The collective consciousness cannot comprehend voluntary individuality." "Then we contain them and we wait," Hyunwoo replied. "We show them through our actions that there is a better way. We do not force it. We do not conquer. We demonstrate." Delvos nodded thoughtfully. "You wish to wage peace as actively as others wage war." "Exactly," Hyunwoo confirmed. The debate continued, but eventually a compromise emerged. The Confederation would establish a defensive perimeter around the remaining Devourer territory. They would not attack unless attacked, but they would broadcast constantly, sharing stories of freed drones, showing what life could be like outside the collective. It was a strange form of warfare. Fighting with hope instead of weapons. On the residential levels, Lieutenant Jae Sung taught a class for freed drones. The subject was not military tactics or survival skills. It was art. 20 former Devourer drones sat in a circle, each with basic drawing materials. They had never created anything before. In the collective, they had only consumed and conquered. "There are no rules for this," Jae Sung explained. "You can draw whatever you want, whatever you feel." "I do not know what I feel," one drone said. The others murmured agreement. "Then draw that," Jae Sung suggested. "Draw confusion. Draw uncertainty. Draw the questions you have." Slowly, hesitantly, the drones began to create. Their drawings were abstract, chaotic, full of contradictions. But they were individual expressions, each one unique. Jae Sung walked around the circle looking at their work. One drone had drawn nothing but overlapping circles, representing the collective mind it had lost. Another had drawn jagged lines spreading in all directions, like a web breaking apart. "These are beautiful," Jae Sung said honestly. "They serve no function," a drone pointed out. "They serve the most important function," Jae Sung replied. "They help you understand yourselves." Word of humanity's work spread through the galaxy. The Confederation had always seen humans as warriors because that was what they needed. But now, they saw the complete picture. Humans were teachers who helped former enemies learn to be individuals. They were artists who showed the value of creation over destruction. They were diplomats who chose understanding over domination. They were protectors who would sacrifice themselves for others. They were exactly what the old legends had promised, but in ways no one expected. More human ships arrived each week. But as Hyun-woo had said during the battle, these were not warships. They were colony vessels, education ships, medical frigates, and cultural exchange cruisers. Humanity had come to fight. Now they stayed to build. 6 months after the battle, Seeker asked Minji an important question. "The collective gave me purpose through directives. Now I must find my own purpose. How do I do that?" Minji considered the question carefully. "You try different things. You see what makes you feel fulfilled. What makes you want to wake up each day?" "I have been watching humans help other freed drones," Seeker said slowly. "I find this interesting. Could that be a purpose? Helping others like me?" Minji's eyes brightened. "That would be a wonderful purpose. But I do not know how to help," Seeker admitted. "Neither did we at first," Minji said. "We learned by trying, by failing sometimes, by listening to what others needed. You can learn too." Seeker thought about this. Then, for the first time, the former drone made a decision based purely on personal desire rather than programmed function. "I would like to try," Seeker said. "Will you teach me?" "I would be honored," Minji replied. In the station's archives, Thelvos made a new recording. He updated the ancient legends with modern truth. "Our ancestors told stories of humans," he recorded. "They said humans were the greatest warriors the galaxy had ever known. We thought this meant they were powerful in battle. We were wrong and right at the same time." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Humans are warriors, but they fight for connection, not conquest. They weaponize compassion and deploy empathy. Their greatest strength is not their refusal to give up, but their refusal to give up on anyone, even their enemies, especially their enemies." He looked at the data streams showing freed drones learning to paint, to sing, to ask questions, to dream. The legends called them warriors. History will remember them as something greater. They are builders of bridges, healers of divisions, Proof that the strongest weapon is the choice to care when caring seems foolish. Outside the station, the first mixed-species colony ship prepared for departure. Humans, Confederation species, and freed devourer drones who chose names like Hope and Courage and Beginning would settle a new world together. Commander Vexra watched the ship leave. Hyunwoo stood beside her. "Your people have changed everything," Vexra said quietly. "The galaxy will never be the same." "The galaxy changed itself," Hyunwoo replied. "We just showed you what was always possible. You were already capable of this. You just needed to remember." "Remember what?" "That legends are not about the past," Hyunwoo said. "They are promises about the future. Your ancestors told stories about humans because they hoped someone would come who fought for connection instead of conquest. But you can be that too. Any species can. That is the real lesson." Vexra looked at the human captain. "What will your people do now?" Hyunwoo smiled. "What we have always done. We will stay until we are not needed. We will teach what we know. We will learn from you. And when the time comes, we will find new friends who need help remembering what they are capable of." "The galaxy is full of conflicts," Vexra warned. "You cannot save everyone." "No," Hyunwoo agreed, "but we can try, and sometimes trying is enough to change everything." On the residential level, Seeker helped a newly freed drone choose its first meal from a selection of options. The simple act of choosing food based on personal preference rather than nutritional efficiency was profound for those who had never made choices before. "Why do you help us?" the new drone asked. Seeker thought about this. The answer was complex, but it was also simple. "Because someone helped me," Seeker said. "Now I help you. Maybe someday you will help someone else. That is how connection works." The galaxy had learned that some legends were true, and humanity had taught them something even more important. Any species could become legendary if they chose compassion over conquest, connection over efficiency, and hope over despair. The war was over. The real work had just begun. And for the first time in centuries, the future felt full of possibilities.